I was the fake young master switched at birth, after the real young master returned. I suddenly began to hear the inner voices of the whole family. My sister, with her cold and distant expression but a stunning curvy figure, looked at me while thinking, "Since there's no blood relation, then let me have your child." The moment my little sister came home, I heard her secret thoughts. "Tonight, big sister isn't home. That means it's my turn to go to brother's room." The real young master, chatting with me with a serious face, thought to himself, "Hee, I'm going to hide in the closet and watch a 1v2 live show." Chapter 1. When the system dropped me here, it only told me that my mission was to get along harmoniously with the real young master's family. Then it hurriedly pushed me away. As the fake young master, seeing the deep and bitter gaze of Willow for the first time, I felt uneasy. I quickly grabbed the system in my mind and asked, "System Godfather, when will you come back?" The system gave me a look and said sorrowfully, "Good son, the adult script side has malfunctioned. The scenes are too explicit. I'm afraid it would scare you. Remember, your script is the happy family reunion version. Take care of yourself." After that, it slipped away. Today, I went with Willow to the welfare home. Willow stood at the doorway, arms crossed, her chest full and heavy, spilling with attitude, chatting lazily with the director. I walked over slowly. She glanced me up and down, then nodded to the director. She walked ahead while I followed closely behind. Thinking of the family reunion script, I figured I shouldn't be kicked out of the house. I took a deep breath to steel my nerves. I reached out and put my hand on her shoulder with a cheeky grin. "Big sister." Her expression was icy, and she obviously paused for a moment. I smiled at her, then took her hand and led her step by step. My sister's figure was graceful, her walk swaying with elegance. I remembered when I was little, she used to pull me along so fast I had to run to keep up. Now that I'm grown, it's her who struggles to match my pace. After the college entrance exams, Willow stayed home more and more. Sometimes, we even stayed in the same study room. It always felt a bit unnatural, like I should find something else to do. At the dinner table, I casually said, "Sis, my classmate Freya just found a summer job. Maybe I should try one too." Willow raised her eyes at me, then gently placed a chicken wing in my bowl and asked softly, "Running out of money?" I shook my head quickly. No, it's not that. Strange, it's supposed to be the happy family script, so why do I feel so nervous? Scratching my face, I added, "I just thought I'd." Before I could finish, I saw Willow frown deeply. Her gaze was dark and penetrating as she put down her chopsticks and stared at me. I immediately switched gears. Well, now that I think about it, it's too hot outside anyway. Home is better, with air conditioning, and with big sister. Willow stood up and jabbed my forehead hard. With exasperation, she said, "You brat, behave yourself, got it?" Chapter 2. After my sister went upstairs, I pondered quietly. According to the script, the real young master should be returning this summer. How should I win over this family? How do I blend in with them, live happily and harmoniously together? The doorbell rang. Alicia was back. I was a few months older than Alicia, but she had already secured her guaranteed admission and didn't even need to take the college entrance exam. This family setting, all of them have ridiculously high IQs, but Alicia, unlike her older sister, was like a playful kitten, always clinging to me and acting spoiled. Today though, she looked dispirited. She said, "Brother, someone's been waiting for you outside." Alicia pouted as she spoke, clearly unhappy. I went out and saw my classmate from the back row of my high school. She seemed to have been waiting for me for a long time, and finally asked, "George, which university did you put down?" Scratching my head, I answered, Just a local one here in the city." Her eyes lit up. She handed me a gift box and said happily, "Congratulations on graduation, and don't forget to come to the graduation party." "Okay." Before I had time to respond, I lifted my eyes and saw Willow standing on the second-floor balcony. She stood there with clenched fists, staring straight at me. Her long lashes trembled slightly, and a shadow flickered in her eyes. I didn't take the gift. I quickly said goodbye and went back inside. As soon as I stepped in, I saw Willow coming down the stairs. Her brows were knotted with irritation. I changed into another pair of shoes, scratching at my arm awkwardly. Feeling uneasy, I said, "Sis, my classmate left. I'll just head upstairs to sleep now." She said, "Come here." Her voice carried a chill sharp enough to end the summer heat. It didn't sound like something I could refuse. I walked over, still scratching at my itchy arm. Willow opened the medicine box, pointed at my arm, and asked, "Mosquito bite?" I lowered my head. Sure enough, there was a huge bump. My sister pulled out a cotton swab, dipped it into some white ointment, and said to me, "Give me your hand." I almost died of fright just now. Thank goodness the script I received was family happiness. Otherwise, with the way Willow had looked at me with those brooding eyes, I would have thought I was in the Yandere script, the kind where she locks me up in the basement. Chapter 3. The faint scent of perfume mixed with medicine drifted into my nose. I slowly extended my hand, but Willow directly grabbed it and applied the ointment herself. My body stiffened instantly, my head buzzing. My hand, my God. She had pressed it against her ample chest. The softness under my palm combined with the overwhelming visual impact left my mind completely blank. I hurriedly tried to pull my hand back. She said, "Don't move, you're hurting me." Willow's voice trembled slightly. A completely inappropriate scene suddenly flashed in my mind. My head grew hot, and in an instant, my body reacted. The cool ointment on the cotton swab suddenly felt like a lifesaver, calming the fire inside me. A strange, indescribable sensation crept up my spine. I couldn't relax at all, didn't even dare to breathe. When Willow finally let go, my face was burning red as I exhaled heavily. I kept reminding myself, this is the family happiness script. There's no way there will be weird, forbidden scenarios. Still, my guilty eyes followed Willow as she calmly put all the bottles and jars back into the medicine box. Her cold demeanor made it obvious I was overthinking things. I cursed myself inwardly, then said flatteringly, "Thanks, sis." The gloom in her eyes seemed to fade a little. She rolled her eyes and said, "Look at this. It's so big and swollen already. Holy crap. What kind of words are those?" I looked down nervously. Oh, she meant the mosquito bite bump. Still, phrasing it like that was way too misleading. She said, "Don't go out at night anymore." From her perspective, I was her little brother. What she meant must be, in the summer, mosquitoes are everywhere, and if I go out, I'll get bitten. Yes, it must be that. I nodded quickly. After going upstairs, I took a shower while Willow went back to her room. Just as I finished bathing and came out, I heard Willow talking on the phone. I hadn't intended to eavesdrop, but I clearly heard the words "welfare home." Crap, my cover is blown, the real young master is about to return. Her door was slightly ajar. I crouched by the crack. Her voice grew softer and softer, until there was only silence. But I knew the call hadn't ended, the faint electric current sound still lingered. It felt as if venomous scorpions were crawling all over me. Like a thief who had gotten away for years but was finally discovered. With Willow's feelings toward her brother, would she start to hate me? Could my family happiness script still continue? Just as I was thinking this, the door suddenly swung open, the dim light spilled out, and I was caught off guard, meeting Willow's icy, piercing gaze head-on. Chapter 4, I said. Something fell, and hurried to explain. Willow narrowed her eyes, looking down at me as I crouched on the floor rubbing something. I stammered. I just... Willow raised her gaze a little, as if waiting to see what excuse I was going to invent. I hesitated for quite a while, swallowed hard, and gathered courage. All of a sudden, I hugged her thigh and wailed. I dropped my ID. "Sister, are you going to kick me out?" Even I didn't expect myself to confess so quickly, maybe because the system was still busy repairing her adult script and had no backup. Or perhaps because, in front of Willow, lying was impossible for me. I seem way too honest. Willow looked me up and down. Her cheeks turned red, and for a moment, her breathing stopped. She let out a faint sigh and said, "Get your head straight, and if there's something, we'll talk about it tomorrow." As I lowered my gaze, I realized that when I got up after pretending to search on the floor, the zipper of my pants had folded over, making a very conspicuous bulge. How embarrassing. I felt uncomfortable and turned around to leave. Suddenly, Alicia poked her head out of her room and smiled. "Brother, will you come see my performance tomorrow?" She leaned halfway against the doorframe, radiant. That carefree creature, soon she'll have a new brother. I sighed. All right. I patted Alicia's head and thought silently, I have to stick to the happy family reunion script. I don't know if it was my imagination, but when Willow saw me pat Alicia's head, her gaze seemed to darken slightly. So now that they know I'm not part of the family, I can't even pat heads. From the other end of the hallway, under the dim light, I patted her a few more times. "Well then, I'll pat. Alicia's eyes lit up, and she asked, "Does brother like patting my head?" I smiled awkwardly. "Yes, I like it a lot." After saying that, I had the feeling Willow was about to appear in the doorway at any moment to catch me. I quickly slipped into the bedroom. The scent of ointment on my arm reached my nose. Sleep overcame me. In the dream, a warm, soft arm wrapped around my neck. It tickled a bit and I moved away. That person became even bolder. She coiled around me like an octopus. Her voice whispered in a seductive tone, "Call me sister." Was I just pinned down by a ghost? And that ghost even demanded me to call her sister. What the hell is this problem? I frowned and tried to turn over, but then she nibbled softly on my shoulder. It tickled, and I shrank back. Finally, she leaned closer and kissed me, warm, intense, and passionate. When I came back to my senses, she stopped, Her warm breath brushed my ear as she said, "Call me sister." Chapter 5. I mumbled, "Sister, I'm sleepy." Finally she stopped fussing. She poked my forehead and said, "Go to sleep, little liar." After one night I woke with a dry mouth and greedily grabbed the water on the bedside table, chugging it down. Strange, after sitting out all night, why is it still just warm? Has Auntie Wu been this meticulous? My rich second-generation life is really too precious to give up. I rubbed my eyes and suddenly noticed that the System Conquered panel showed my conquered progress had become 5%. The panel that hadn't changed for so long had finally come back to life and displayed the conquered progress. I shouted, "System!" The system was still offline. I licked the corner of my mouth. Hiss, it hurt a little. I rushed to the bathroom and took a closer look. Wait, my lip corner was a bit scabbed and swollen. The bumps on my arm had gone down. So why did they shift to my lips? Are there really this many poisonous bugs in this villa? I washed my face and had just wiped the water droplets away when I saw Willow leaning against the bathroom doorframe. She said, "Wait until you eat." I made an "oh" sound and then remembered the call from the orphanage yesterday. I asked Willow in a low voice, could you not kick me out? I promise I'll be good from now on. I won't make trouble. When he comes back I'll stay downstairs. I know this might not convince you, but, sister, give me a chance. I'll prove myself with my actions. I couldn't read Willow's expression. Her face was cool. She lifted her eyelids slightly. Willow blinked and signaled for me to continue. I awkwardly rubbed my hands together, prepared to beg shamelessly. "I'll go out to work to earn living expenses. Can I hand over my pay every month? I really have nowhere else to go," I said. After a long moment Willow let out a quiet laugh. "Fine, then you can stay and pay off your debt." Not blood-related makes all the difference. Just yesterday she was putting ointment on me. Today she's making me pay my debts. But at least if I stay in this house, there's a chance to complete the storyline. I smiled ingratiatingly and licked my swollen lips. "Thank you, sister." Willow looked at me. Her gaze darkened a little as she stared at my lips. Crap, what if she doesn't like outsiders calling her sister? What should I do? I immediately corrected myself. "Thank you, Willow." Willow looked at me, silent for a moment, then said, "I still prefer hearing you call me sister." A hint of displeasure flickered in her eyes and her tone was a little plaintive. Such a familiar scene. Chapter 6. While drinking porridge, I kept thinking, but no matter what, I couldn't remember where I had seen that kind of scene, the feeling of being bewitched by someone. When Alicia spoke to me, I only half listened, nodding absently. Finally, she looked at me, her eyes sparkling, and said, "Brother, then let's go." Go where? I asked. Alicia instantly wilted. She pouted and said, "Didn't we agree you'd come see my performance?" I coughed awkwardly. Right, Alicia had already told me yesterday that she wanted me to go to her school's art showcase. She must have been reminding me again just now. I didn't want to dampen Alicia's mood. Besides, Willow was probably coming back today with the real young master. If I stayed home, I would only ruin the reunion of the sister and brother who had been apart for so long. As for Alicia, silly and naive as she was, she probably didn't mind having an extra debtor living in her house. I looked at Willow and asked, "Can I go?" Willow said nothing, but Alicia tugged on me. Brother, let's go." I practically escaped, letting Alicia drag me away. Once in the car with Alicia, she handed me a bag of bread. "Brother, you didn't eat much." Then she tilted her head in puzzlement. "Are you very afraid of my sister?" The bread smelled delicious. Inside the car, Alicia's sweet and pure scent filled the air. I sobered up a bit and realized, just now, Alicia had called Willow my sister. Before, she would always say sister. I asked her, "You found out?" She nodded. It was obvious. She must have discovered that I wasn't the real Georange, that's why she said it that way. Alicia looked out the window and didn't continue the topic. As the car rolled forward slowly, I paused, then confessed. "My original name is George. Because of some reasons, I was mistaken for Georange. Alicia, I already made an agreement with Willow. I'll stay here to pay off my debt." As if afraid Alicia might also want me gone, I hurried to bring up Willow's name. In any case, my mission wasn't complete. I couldn't leave. Clinging shamelessly was always a way to stay. Alicia stared at my uneasy expression for a while. Then the corners of her lips curved slightly. "Brother, I can help you pay the debt. I have lots of pocket money." She paused, then added, "I'll help brother pay the debt. In exchange, brother will take care of me from now on." "Okay." As if worried I wouldn't believe her, she pulled out her phone to show me. "It's true, I'm really rich. See for yourself." "What?" It felt like my throat was being squeezed. At that moment, my shameless persistence faltered. Alicia handed me a yogurt. Naturally, I opened it for her. I hesitated. "So you're not going to kick me out?" She laughed. "Brother, how can you be so silly?" Her tone was light and carefree, carrying that natural aura of a young girl. I rubbed my temples. feeling as if this wasn't real. The family happiness storyline, was it already about to be completed? Chapter 7. Before we got out of the car, Alicia shoved a bouquet into my arms. She winked at me and said, "Brother, I'm the 10th to perform." Then she suddenly leaned in, pouting pitifully. "If nobody brings me flowers, I'll be really upset." Last year when my roommate performed, a boy gave her flowers and she showed off in the dorm for a whole year. She called me over, just to have me bring her flowers. What on earth was Alicia up to? When she came out on stage, she waved at me. Her features were delicate, waist slim, legs long, slender, looking much thinner than Willow. She lifted the microphone and the first line slid out with a clear ringing tone that seemed to light up the whole stage. She tapped her feet to the rhythm, the hem of her dress swaying under the lights, revealing those long legs. In the interplay of lights and shadows, her silhouette was drawn into smooth lines. At that moment, a lot of boys rushed up to give her flowers, their faces and ears flushing red. With so many people, I felt relieved. Surely she didn't need me. I watched the scene with satisfaction. Newly grown girls really do attract attention. But from a distance I saw she hadn't accepted a single bouquet. One boy handed flowers right in front of her, but Alicia didn't even look at him. She shot me a glare from afar and slightly furrowed her brow. What was going on? Wasn't that enough to show off to her roommates? After she finished singing, she came over to me. Her eyes were moist and still a little red. She bit her lip and said, "Brother, my flowers." I handed the bouquet over. "Here." She stomped angrily. "I'm so mad I could die." People's gazes converged on us. I forced down my embarrassment and blurted awkwardly, "Good thing you're not dead." She accepted the flowers and looked at me with a wounded expression. "Brother, why didn't you give me flowers?" I explained. "Well, I saw lots of people were giving you flowers already," she said. "I only wanted brother." A long silence followed. Alicia casually stretched her long legs forward, her ankles lightly touching, lounging in a lazy, comfortable posture. I asked, "When are we going back?" She didn't answer, and the silence felt awkward. When I stood up, Alicia took a long stride and planted herself in the middle of the road with her hands on her hips. She snorted coldly. "Brother, did Willow go to your room yesterday?" I answered. "Huh? When?" Her gaze was chilling. "Didn't you know what she did?" My hand unconsciously went to my lips. She asked, "Did she kiss you?" Only then did it hit me. In my dream someone kept insisting I call her sister. Could it have been more than a dream? Alicia suddenly leaned into my arms, warm and breathy, and whispered, "Brother, I want it too." Chapter 8. The performance was over, and the vast auditorium was now completely empty. Alicia was whispering some indecent words. I gently pushed her away, sighed helplessly, and said, "Alicia, stop fooling around." The ringtone of my phone suddenly rang. Alicia gave me a subtle look. The next second, she suddenly tiptoed, hooked her arms around my neck, and kissed me straight on the lips. My whole body froze, my mind buzzing. The ringtone kept ringing until she finally let go of me. Breathing heavily, Alicia picked up the call for me. She said, "Sister." She deliberately pinched her voice while speaking into the phone. On the other end, there was a moment of silence before someone asked, "Where's George?" Still with that fake tone, Alicia said, "Brother is right beside me." "We're not really convenient right now." I snapped out of it. Grabbed the phone back. What the hell does she mean by not convenient? "Willow," I quickly added. "Sister, do you need something?" Alicia was smiling at me, but her gaze carried a chilling coldness that made my skin crawl. Then she said in a voice neither too loud nor too soft, "Brother, I'm all sweaty. I need to take a shower first." With one long stride, she turned and walked away. On the other end, Willow must have heard that. Her breathing clearly faltered. Some repressed emotion finally erupted as she shouted, "So this is what you mean by proving yourself with actions? Huh? This is how you convince people?" I quickly replied, "No, no, no." Before I could finish, the call was hung up. Wrong. Everything was wrong. And then I suddenly noticed that the panel's conquered progress had updated again. 10%. Just from a kiss, there was actually progress. I called out to the system daddy in the auditorium for a long time, but it was still silent. "Seriously, you've been offline for years and still haven't fixed the adult script?" Wait a second. Adult script. When I woke up this morning, the conquered progress had become 5%. But ever since Alicia kissed me, it jumped from 5% to 10%. So kissing increases progress. At this rate, I'm seriously beginning to doubt, did I really get the family happiness script? Or is this actually some kind of romance script? When Alicia came back from her shower, her body carried a faint scent of lime soda. The atmosphere grew heavy. Driving the car, I felt like I was sitting on pins and needles. After a long while, I asked, "Do you think I can get into college?" The random question only made the air even colder. Taking a deep breath, I said, "Alicia, I have a bold idea right now." Alicia tilted her head and asked, "What is it?" I pulled the car over to the side. unfastened my seatbelt, and puckered my lips as I leaned in. The moment our lips collided, I saw the panel change, conquered progress 20%. Fuck. So this is the family happiness quest that System Daddy assigned me. Chapter 9. Alicia's eyes were bright. She coaxed gently, tender and lingering, now seducing, now retreating, her lips and teeth entwining in a testing dance of wanting to resist yet yielding. The conquered progress displayed 55%. Seeing the number on the panel, I grabbed the back of her head and kissed her harder. The slow, precise siege felt like a drumbeat in my chest. My mouth went numb, but the number on the panel didn't move, not at all. What the hell? The faint lime scent rushed to my nostrils and I shuddered. A jolt like electricity suddenly shot through my whole body. Our breathing grew more and more ragged. Could it be that Alicia wanted? All right, I made up my mind. I seized a break and said, let's go to a hotel. Alicia looked at me, a smile tugging at her lips. Then she feigned shyness and bobbed her head, giving a light nod. Without another word, I buckled her in and hit the gas. From the moment we got out of the car, Alicia clung to my arm as if afraid I'd change my mind and run. I glanced at the lobby mirror and, off guard, caught sight of a flushed face, so red, half of it had to be from anger. I cursed the system in my head. System, I've treated you like a godfather. Is this how you treat your son? Alicia tightened her hold on my arm. She smiled and said, open the door. I put on a face like I had no fear. I opened the hotel room door and made a gesture to invite her in. She deliberately pinched her voice into a coy tone and said, brother, it's my first time, be gentle, quick and decisive. I shut my eyes and kissed her again. This time the task should be done. No matter what the system rewards me next time, I won't come back. This is utterly unreliable. I breathed hard, my eyes rimmed red, and gasped, sister, this is your last chance to call it off. She narrowed her eyes and said, we're already here. Are you saying you can't do it? I was speechless. The panel value still hadn't changed. I hurriedly pushed Alicia toward the bed. Suddenly there came the sound of banging at the door. Not knocking, someone was pounding on the door. After being interrupted, I shot an annoyed look at Alicia and said, I'll go check. But Alicia hooked an arm around my neck and said, don't. Her voice was low and hoarse, keep going. But the pounding outside kept coming. A mixture of pounding and kicking. What? Am I supposed to be catching someone in the act? My mood evaporated. I pushed Alicia away, my neck still covered in lipstick marks, and walked to the door. Alicia stopped me, and, her clothes disheveled, opened the door. Chapter 10. The next second, a calm, deathly silence spread around. Finally someone spoke up, are you trying to persuade them in bed? The voice was icy and terrifying. My legs nearly gave out. It was Willow. That zombie siege-like commotion just now, was it all caused by Willow? I'm honestly impressed. I grabbed Alicia and looked at her, signaling, do you want to kneel with me? Alicia stayed the same, all restless desire. At last, a bright voice broke the stalemate. It's you, George. My knees went weak. The young master had returned. The true young master, George, grabbed me up and said, Aunt Wu has finished cooking. Willow said to wait until you and Alicia get back to eat together. So we came looking for you here. He patted my shoulder and said, everyone's here. Let's go home to eat. Young master, is this the time to be talking about dinner? We should be discussing whether I still have a head on my shoulders. Willow had deliberately sat in my car to isolate me, to keep me from touching Alicia, letting Alicia and George ride in her car. The air felt poisonous. If I didn't breathe, I'd die. If I did breathe, I'd still die. While sweat ran down my face, I heard the familiar electric hum, the long-absent system. The system said, George, big trouble. I felt crushed and replied, I can handle any bad news now. The system replied, the adult script over there collapsed. I can't clean this up. I replied, The system said, I thought I'd take refuge with you, but I found out your script here is also an adult script. I messed up from the start. George, you won't blame me, will you? I replied, I asked, how do I file a complaint about the system? The system was speechless, then replied, come on, I see your conquered progress is already 55%. Brother, let's not fight over money. Okay, 50 million. I sighed and glanced guiltily at Willow, ready to negotiate the conquest plan with the system again. Willow sat in the passenger seat, arms crossed, then suddenly said, it's not too late to admit you were wrong. I looked bewildered. Huh? What did I do wrong? Willow bit her lip and gestured with both hands like she wanted to strangle someone. The system said, George, don't provoke her. The remaining 45% is Willow's progress bar. What? I immediately switched to damage control and said to Willow, sis, I was wrong. I love you so much I didn't know what to do. Willow was speechless. The system continued, my bad for not telling you earlier. You have to conquer 2 characters this time. Alicia's 50% was easier, you've already completed that. As for Willow, The remaining 45% is going to be harder. No wonder I'd been making out with Alicia for ages and the Concord progress didn't change. I couldn't believe it and asked the system, so how did Willow's progress already get to 5%? Where did that come from? The system fell silent. I remembered and murmured, that night. Chapter 11. I felt strangely calm. I said, I want to die. The system tried to soothe me, don't die. I'll max out your mod. Now you can hear the inner thoughts of the other three. George, your little world hasn't collapsed yet. Keep going, you must finish the task. Otherwise, if the plot breaks down, I'm afraid you'll really end up penniless. After the mod that lets me hear others' thoughts was enabled, I'd barely gotten home when Willow's inner voice reached me. She thought, we only just found out we're not blood siblings yesterday, and today he's already taking Alicia to a hotel. I pursed my lips. We're all adults, so what? Alicia kept her head down and went upstairs. Georange smiled and called me over to eat. I'd been running around all day and was actually pretty hungry. No sooner had I sat down than Georange pushed a bowl of soup toward me. He said, you look pale. Have some, this'll help. I was about to thank him when I heard his inner OS, goji and ginseng soup, good tonic. Tonight I'm watching a 1v2 live stream. I was so shocked I dropped my chopsticks. Wait, brother, your tastes are that filthy. All the players had shown their cards. Only I was uncertain about Willow. She looked outrageously angry. Seriously, who writes plots like this? Carbon-based life forms. Really? How can someone be tasked with romancing two biological sisters at once? The system chuckled lightly. George, in our little world any plot can exist. I asked, why don't you take over yourself? The system immediately went silent. Logically speaking, when Georange came home, shouldn't he have kicked me out and stirred up a bloody storm? Just as I was thinking that, Georange heard the doorbell. He immediately got up and walked to the door. Smiling at the person outside, he said, Dad, you're here. Huh? Father Lou came back. Wasn't he abroad? Oh no. As an imposter, I felt even more ashamed. I looked nervously toward the door. Why hadn't he come in yet? I bit my lip, uneasy. Should I kneel first? My whole life of kneeling before the Lou family. How pathetic. At that moment, Willow handed me a pair of chopsticks. Her face still dark. She gave a cold snort and said, you've been tossing around all day. Aren't you hungry? Under Willow's gaze, I tremblingly picked up a piece of meat. Willow thought to herself, could it be that he's been scared sick? I really wanted to respond, sister, I feel like this is my last meal. Georange walked in and said, come. My dad brought gifts for everyone. I put down my chopsticks and asked, isn't Father Lou coming in? Georange let out an oh, dropped the large bags onto the sofa, and suddenly remembered, oh, the one at the door is my foster father. He's in a hurry to attend an international summit. Don't take it the wrong way. I let out a long breath, scared me to death. Willow rolled her eyes and said, if you don't do guilty things, you have nothing to be afraid of. I didn't dare reply, only whispered to the system, Willow's character setting has changed. She's become all sarcastic. Chapter 12. I didn't know whether she was talking about taking her brother's place, or about taking Alicia to a hotel room. In any case, I guess all my buffs were fully stacked. Georange, probably noticing that I wasn't in high spirits, poured me a drink. He said, what a coincidence, your name is George, and I'm Georange. Easy to get mixed up. Besides, my foster parents treat me especially well. They're even richer than my real father. I felt ashamed. Ever since I got the script of misplaced identity, I've been feeling guilty for 5 years. Although I used all my points to exchange a 1 in a million family background for Georange. After all, they weren't his real biological parents. I had stolen 5 years of his life. Now, the real Georange had returned. The system also noticed my sadness and said, don't be like that. Didn't the Lou family go bankrupt? Back then you and Willow squeezed into one room to sleep. You even ate coarse grains and wild greens. Georange never went through that kind of suffering. Although I was forced to follow the plot, some of the harm was indeed caused by me. I looked at Georange solemnly and said, I'm sorry. Georange smiled and said, I accept it. After dinner, I gathered all the birthday gifts I had received over the past 5 years. I brought Georange over and said to him, these are from Mom and Dad. Those over there are from Willow. The ones on the shelf are from Alicia. And the ones on the bed are the ones I prepared. They are all birthday gifts for you. Georange gave a soft laugh and said, I accept them. I said, I'm really sorry, Georange. I thought to myself, after completing the task, I would leave quickly. I moved downstairs of my own accord. Along with me, I brought a photo of Willow and me. That year, on my birthday, we were still living in a small rented room, just Willow and me. After the family went bankrupt, Mom and Dad took Alicia out with them to seek connections and favors, leaving only Willow and me to live in that cramped and narrow rental. The weather was cold. Willow crouched beside me and took a picture with an old camera. She rubbed her red hands and handed me the photo. She said, "Happy birthday. Grow up well. Later. Your sister will make sure you live a good life." Everyone upstairs was asleep. I looked at the messy room downstairs, feeling helpless. Alicia was locked in by Willow, unable to come out, and kept sending me messages. Alicia wrote, "Brother, save me. If you get me out, I'm willing to do anything." As everyone knows, when a woman says she's willing to do anything, in fact, it usually means only one thing. Knowing I had already conquered Alicia, I lay on the sofa and picked up my phone. I replied to her, "I don't think we're suitable." Alicia was speechless. She replied, "We haven't even done it yet, and you say we're not suitable. Are you playing me? Do you like my sister instead?" A barrage of messages came flooding in. I replied, "If you want to think of me that way, I can't help it. Sometimes I feel like I really am kind of a scumbag." Chapter 13. Too lazy to tidy the room. I just made do on the sofa. I woke up thirsty in the middle of the night and went to get a drink. The moment I opened my eyes, I saw a figure in a white dress standing on the balcony. The system got a fright and screamed in my head, "Ghost." I was startled too, and reflexively picked up a slipper and hurled it at the figure's head. The next second, the person turned, bullseye. The system said, "It's a beauty, you scared me to death." It was Willow. What was she doing out here? I muttered, "I assent this even scarier now." She walked over with a resentful look in her eyes. I couldn't hear her inner voice, only felt that her expression was complicated. She put down the slipper and asked, "Why are you holding that photo?" "What photo?" Following her gaze, I saw the photo of Willow and me from when we were kids, sitting on the coffee table. Although the house was falling apart, I was smiling so happily in it. Seriously, if I gave this as part of the present to Georange, wouldn't that just make things awkward? It would upset her too. I shrugged and said, "I just found it." I felt ripping it up would be bad luck. Willow's voice was like ice. She bit her lip and said, "You still want to tear it up?" I scratched my head and said, "I didn't tear it, did I?" Willow's eyes moved from the photo to me. She stared at me, and there was actually a hint of grievance in her look. The system piped up, "Perfect timing, an unaccompanied man and woman. Go for it." I was speechless. I felt awkward, really awkward, but somebody had to make the first move, right? So I slowly reached out and stroked Willow's cheek. Willow's eyelashes trembled slightly. Some thread of feeling flowed through her pupils. Seizing the moment, I puckered my lips and leaned in. But the next second, she snatched the photo out of my hand. Her expression instantly turned cold, and then she went upstairs. Before she went up, I even heard her inner thought, "Does he want Alicia and me both?" I was speechless. "She's leaving just like that." The system rubbed its forehead and laughed wryly. "She's probably jealous. This is probably the purest adult script I've ever been in. Coming to play at pure love with such bewitching eyes. Weren't you the one who climbed into my bed in the middle of the night before?" Chapter 14. The good news was, Alicia felt like I had played her. She decided to give me the cold shoulder and started ignoring me. The bad news was, Willow ignored me too. I asked the system, "What should I do?" Willow won't cheer up no matter what. The system asked, "What exactly did you do to coax her?" I replied, "My lips were practically puckered halfway across the room, and I still couldn't kiss her. The system said speechlessly, "Don't force a kiss, you have to move her with love." Fine then. I took a shower, dried my hair, changed into clean clothes, and headed out. I said, "I'm going to a class reunion today. Don't wait for me for dinner." Georange glanced at Willow's expression, then looked back at me and said, "All right." Alicia immediately stood up and said, "Is that the woman we saw outside the house the other day?" "I'm going too." I waved my hand and said, "It's a class reunion. Not good to bring relatives." Alicia smiled faintly, but her eyes dimmed. She let out a cold snort and said, "Brother, you really are heartless." Willow pressed her lips together but didn't say a single word before I walked out, but a cold aura seemed to linger around her. Before I left, I caught Georange's inner monologue, "Here it comes. Here it comes. The two sisters are finally going to start drama." I drank myself completely drunk and called Willow. I said, "Willow, I'm drunk." "A man only needs to act 3 parts drunk, enough to break a woman's heart," she replied. "Call a driver." "Why are you calling me?" Such an icy tone. 10 minutes later, I saw Willow, and the burning heat in her eyes. What a stubborn woman. I pretended to be dizzy and naturally let my hand rest on her shoulder. The moment I leaned closer, I caught the strong fragrance of roses surrounding her. In a hoarse voice, I said, "Sister, I want that photo." Supporting me, Willow raised her eyes and looked at me. "Why do you want it?" Her gaze was deep and blazing, as if it could devour me. I wrapped my arms around her, leaned down close to her ear, and whispered, "Willow, let's go home. Georange and Alicia aren't there." I also said, "I bought you some new clothes." Chapter 15. I called ahead and had Georange distract Alicia. Georange sent me encouragement from afar. "Bro, you got this." The moment Willow opened the door, I pinned her against the wall and kissed her forcefully. She didn't pull away, but she didn't respond either, until my lips went numb. She looked at me and asked again, "Why do you want the photo?" Then I heard her inner thought, "Have you done this with Alicia too?" I looked at her and said earnestly, "No, Willow, only you." So she'd been wanting a straightforward, unequivocal answer all along. All my anger evaporated. I put both hands on her shoulders and said, "Sis, I want the photo, and I want you." In just a few seconds she cooled, stood before me, kicked off the loose slippers barefoot, wrapped her legs around my neck, and kissed me. By the time I reacted, she had taken absolute control. Her hair curled and flowed like mountain rivers. Light and shadow rose and fell, like tides lifted by the night wind. The scent of roses swallowed my words and emptied my thoughts. I no longer had the energy to pay attention to changes in the panel's conquest progress. I blindly followed the laws of life. When Georange and Alicia returned, Willow was already in new sleepwear. The unusually tidy living room and the removed sofa cover made things look oddly conspicuous. Georange frowned, glanced at me, then at Alicia, and raised an eyebrow. Alicia handed me my acceptance letter with a cold face. She said, "The acceptance letter arrived days ago. You." Willow had just finished showering. Her brow was still damp. Alicia widened her eyes and opened her mouth. "It's broad daylight. Why are you taking a bath?" No one answered her question. I looked at the panel with satisfaction. 100% conquest progress. I said to the system, "Stop playing dead. Can I return to the real world now?" The system rubbed its hands and tried to placate me. "Did I ever tell you the outside world has collapsed?" I asked, "What does that have to do with me?" The system whined, "Wah, the programmer just informed me someone sabotaged the passage back to the real world. Repairing it will take 4 years. Chapter 16. Cry all you want. Suddenly the system dropped to its knees and pleaded, "Host Dad, I'll call you Dad. Boo-hoo. Please, don't report me. You're going to study at a university here for exactly 4 years. This is a top-tier school here. I promise the teaching quality is the same as the real-world top schools." I tore open the acceptance letter and threw it in the system's face. "You kidding me? To butter me up, the system started assigning me all kinds of power-ups and hacks. Blind box pulls always hit the jackpot. Getting tickets was guaranteed, and every lottery ticket I bought won. The system frequently sent attractive NPCs my way. After seeing so many beauties, I still found none of them matched Willow. After all, she's the protagonist of this world. Someone put effort into modeling her. Alicia's tactics to compete for attention changed day by day. As soon as Alicia glanced at me, I knew what she was plotting. Like, "Sis isn't here tonight. It's my turn to go to brother's room." True to the Liu family, Georange was also obsessed with witnessing all kinds of messy scenes and often came over to assist. Only Willow stayed relatively normal. In the early hours, she had just gotten off work that day. A heavy rose scent mingled with rich wine on her. She watched me quietly, but inside she thought, "Let me get pregnant with your child." I said, deadpan, "Sis, I want to sleep. Tomorrow is graduation." At the graduation ceremony, Alicia looked up at me from the audience with a wilted expression. Willow stood beside me. For some reason her gaze was deep and her mood wasn't great. Georange took a photo of Willow and me. After handing the photo to me, he grinned and cheekily called out, "Brother-in-law." Chapter 17. I returned to the real world with 2 photos and 50 million. One photo was of Willow and me when we were little. The other was of Willow and me at graduation. In both photos I looked very happy, while Willow always appeared cool and distant. I lay on my bed counting the money when the system suddenly issued an alarming warning. "Host Dad, the person who damaged the passage has now torn the spacetime apart." My mind went blank. I clutched my money protectively and panicked. "Huh? What kind of malfunction now?" The system's voice shrank, suddenly frightened. It said, "She's right beside you now." I turned sluggishly and saw Willow sitting on the edge of my bed, fingering the 2 photos. She said, "Found you."